Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to our Lunar Racing Club. I'm your host, Alicel, and I am joined here tonight by Vitasia. How are you doing tonight, Vitasia?
Oh, I am doing fantastic this evening, ready to kick off a wonderful community club showcase tonight. It's a wonderful flag set, wonderful objectives here for this particular racing club, and then Solaris versus Tybalt on the restream. This is going to be fun.
Yep, this is our usual Thursday night community club. Some pretty hard flags here. We've got some unsafe flags where you could actually end up on the moon to find your way underground. You've got your regular Conquer the Vanilla Ribbon Room, Conquer the Vanilla Mass Immune Altar, and then it looks like our two random objectives tonight are Trade Away the Pink Tail and Destroy the Super Cannon.
Yeah, both a little bit buried right now. The hook and Pinktail, of course, required for that second one. We have to get underground and then have the key for the tower for the fourth one. So we could be doing a little bit of diving around, with that unsafe flag on, knowing that, we might have to go to the moon before we ever get underground access. Those two, being locked behind at least two more key items rather than just a one-off turn-in really does make things a little bit more interesting.
It sure does. And unfortunately, that pink tail's still not going to get you a shiny adamant armor, as no adamants is turned on.
Another flag to note, which is kind of fun and kind of not fun all at the same time. The shops are effectively disabled. You can get cabins at shops for free, but otherwise, all of your equipment is going to be coming from opening treasure chests. And with the pro flag turned on, we'll see some of these runners, take some detours, open up some chests in some interesting locations, similar to how we saw it in the most recent tournament that we did. But everything has to come from those treasure chests. We can't rely on anything from the shops.
And it does look like we are off. We do have a Kidia start and a Porum start.
Oh, there's our Mist Dragon with a Legend Sword start. So no real help to us in terms of the key item start. Nice to know where the D-Mist is, so we don't have to check some etc. locations for that. I don't know about Kidia and Porum. You can only do worse by having an Edward start, but these two aren't that much better.
Now, if you do find some lucky gear like a heroine robe, maybe an elven bow, these little girls can turn into some murder children pretty quick.
That's literally my worst nightmare, is little girls eventually killing me and going on a murder rampage.
But both of our runners just in lockstep, taking the exact same route here to Baron Inn and finding somebody who can do a little bit more damage there with that cane.
Kane's an interesting character with his flag sets. Kane is one of those characters that is very nice to have once you get him there, but you gotta also keep in mind that he requires more equipment than the average bear to really get him up and online. He takes some levels, but he also takes some gear, and if you're already doing a gear hunt through having to open up a ton of treasures, it's just a little bit more difficult to get him online than, say, an Edge if you find him early, or even a Yang.
Very true, but they do have that knowledge that, hey, if I find a Valvalis in a terrible location, I do have a cane to kind of bail me out.
All right, so we see Solaris doing a kind of a very common first run with the objective, knowing that we have to get the pink tail. Oftentimes, people will try to skip Damsian for this particular check, at least early, just because if you can dodge going through this cutscene, it'd be nice, but we're going to need the hovercraft one way or the other, so might as well jump in here. Tibble finding some decent gear here in the Watery Pass. I've seen an Elven Bow, I've seen a couple swords here and there, some decent stuff.
Did see some samurai arrows to go with that elven bow, so step 1 of Murder Children is a go.
And of course, both Solaris and Tybalt are showing us what our free summon is when we have Rydia, the mage summon. Okay, well, that's not what we were wanting.
On the bright side, at least this summon clears out the ice.
Yeah, suppose. Okay, Gaia Drum. That'll get us through at least, a bad early boss that splits out like that. So that's good to see.
But both of our runners are going to check and see who is here up on Mount Hobbs. Going to see if maybe it's a character that has a little bit more oomph than these little girls.
Oh, the sink. And no, that person does not have any more oomph. It is everyone's favorite mat on the floor, Edward.
Yeah, Edward, not a character that you really want to see with 0 DPS. And unfortunately, the spoon flag is not on this flag set, so he's probably going to hang out on Mount Hobbs for the rest of the game.
Now, did we happen to see what the boss was up there, just for our own information?
We probably did, but I promptly forgot it.
That's fair. Chat pointing out, or Neobari, our wonderful restreamer right now, is pointing out that we have seen 4 of the characters. Porum, Rydia, Edward, and now Kane. This is a distinct 7 character set, so there's only going to be 7 characters available, no duplicates. So right now, that's 4 of the 7. We're running out of viable things. Having Edward hurts, and then Porum hurts, but at least you're guaranteed a white mage. So party already kind of setting up to know exactly what we're going to have to do. Do find a heroine robe, so Murder Children activated.
I am very excited with this right now. And it looks like we did pick up a mute knife in our on Solaris' side. Unfortunately, Magus Sisters are not going to be a problem for this, but Rubicant and a couple other of our mage bosses still will get I think 4 times with that mute dagger.
And looks like it's Mylan and friends. And luckily we had in our starting chest, we have some big bombs. So that's a quick hit there. And I imagine it's just one more hit and oh, my body is gone.
And Tybalt pulling out the silver knife unfortunately doesn't do bonus damage against this undead looking thing that isn't quite dead.
Unfortunately not. But we get through here, and of course our Rydia gains a ton of health and starts to get activated at this point in time. Don't have the self-summon, so don't have to worry about moving Rydia out of that middle slot. And we have music.
Oh, but Twin Harp is so gross with this party.
Yeah, this would be absolutely horrible. That spot at Twin Harp has, I think, the highest magic defense in the entire game. And right now we're looking at a couple of kids who are relying almost exclusively on magic, unless we can get some full murder action going with some better weapons.
Yeah, I'm sure our runners are hoping for some mute arrows, charm arrows, something a little bit better than poison.
Yeah, but can't buy arrows, so we're in kind of a rough spot there. Tybalt, meanwhile, finished saving. Looks like it's going to come over here, take a stab. This is a low-level attempt to get the cane here. So King and Queen Evelyn is here, uh, which should be no problem for right now. The question is going to be, what is this other hidden boss?
I hope it's Wyvern.
I mean, I didn't think it'd be any problem, but
Geez. The king doing actually more damage than I think I've ever seen him do.
meanwhile, Solaris over here is showing us the Elements fight is actually at the Defend the Bull spot. So we'll be able to use that other big bomb and start the transformation process. We do have that Mute Dagger. We'll be interested to see. Well, Mute Dagger, I guess, wouldn't work here.
Yeah, unfortunately does not work against the mage form of Rubicant, but the Boreas sure does.
All right, so Solaris gets through here. Tybalt is gambling on a free fight here, so we'll see how well he does. Package just located for Solaris. Might turn that in at worst case to see what happens. Oh,
Oh,
can
this is the opposite of free.
well, we got some free Boreases. And I mean, with everything we got else, that's not bad. Other than him one-shotting us.
Hiding inside the shell.
Blizzard is interesting here because Blizzard is an HP-based attack with Iridia, who's under 100 health. So
Is going to go ahead and throw out that Gaia drum, and is enough to take it down.
I mean, took one shot to the face, but otherwise that was very, very well done there. Gets a tiara, which is the best helmet that Iridia can equip, will absolutely help her damage. And more importantly, I think that cane is going to be doing a lot of work early.
And meanwhile, on Solaris' side, we do see a Thunderclaw find. If there's, say, a Kane or a Yang there at the package, that would be a huge pickup for that that Kenazo there at the second spot in Baron Inn.
That's a big if, though. We'll see. I got to imagine maybe checking the package to see if a decent character is here. I'm not comfortable with this party either. Tybalt really had to show what he has it. Yes, an Edge will absolutely do fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to sit through all the cutscenes for a level 25 starting Edge. And it looks like Tybalt is actually going to go ahead and dive Castle Eblin, looking for some pretty nice gear here. Going to try and dodge those trap chests. But this is T-Pro, and this is a higher weighted location.
Yeah, has 3 hourglasses that was part of that large kit. So as long as you can get them off, this is good. And it's a great place to get some early levels if you can get that going and get people up and ready to go. It's great for gear and it's great for levels. It's just a matter of getting those hourglasses off when they can one-shot you.
Now, the thing about Hourglass ones is they do not last forever, and like Chad is pointing out, his levels are pretty low. But if there is something very nice here, say a Stardust Rod, even a Life Staff, a White Shirt, all of those things would be a very nice pickup.
Yeah, I think Tybalt's going to be able to get through it. It's going to be a close call. Um, Very interesting, really kind of edge cases here. Does get through it. That experience is probably worth more than the treasure is at this point in time. Meanwhile, Solaris is getting edge. Looks like Mylan Z here.
Samurai bow is not the dream, but it is another bow that our runners can use that does a little bit more damage.
I mean, if we're already doing a little bit of work with our murder children, we might as well upgrade their damage a little bit.
And I did see an antidote pickup there on Tybalt's side. I do believe that you can still pick up junk items in this flag set.
That's right. The junk, normally in most free enterprise races that you see, that junk flag is turned on so that things like the antidotes that would do nothing really but clog up our inventory would be out. That's not the case right now. So you have to really be careful about your inventory management right now. Meanwhile, Solaris on his side showed us who was lying in the bed, and that's a Cecil. So that's 6 characters. We only have 1 character left, don't we?
Now, Cecil is not the worst character you can find. Vanilla agility is not on, so you don't have to worry about that Cecil gaining levels. But you do have to go on up Mount Ordeals and go through those 3 bosses, which might be a little much. Well, with that edge, I think it might be okay.
Yeah, I think with edge, it will be fine. It's just a matter of getting to that edge first. We don't have any real guidance in terms of what to do up to this point in time. We have, a couple kids. We can get at this point. We can get a cane and we can get an edge. Don't really have our 5th party member yet, but it's rounding out to be kind of a melee heavy party in terms of what's available to us. Oh, and a Murasame. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I would suspect Tybalt will probably check that package once he does Defensive Fabul, and will, with that Murasame, even more want to pick up that edge.
If it wasn't a no-brain play before, it is definitely one now. The question becomes, will Solaris end up go and do Castle Eblin? Depending on the runners and their strategies, that's a very skippable spot if you're happy with how things are playing out with your party and your gear as you're going now, and you feel like you have to skip something to make a play. Tybalt is using Castle Eblin as both a leveling opportunity and to get some gear, so he's doing a nice 1-2 combo. I don't know if Solaris is going to have that need when he's at kind of the same spot to do that.
Very true. Castle Eblin is kind of an outside play. Some runners swear by it, and some will avoid it like the plague.
Can petition to retire the expression "avoid it like the plague"?
Yeah. But we did see a very pretty bow for our runners. We got a ribbon from that chest.
Nice. That'll come in handy at some point.
Especially if, say, Evil Wall was somewhere terrible, like maybe the Ribbon Room.
I mean, we eventually have to conquer the Ribbon Room and the Vanilla Masamune altar. That's got to happen at some point. So it'd be nice. So Solaris does pick up his cane now as well, and looks to be off. Might be saying, hey, let's do Twin Heart now already.
I think this and Mount Ordeals are about all that's left for our runners here on the blue planet. So one of these spots does have to either have hook access, or not hook access, underground access, hopefully a hook, or has to have moon access.
Well, and both of these runners are simultaneously showing us our two routes at this point in time. So I love it. We're going to get a lot of clarity in terms of where we are supposed to go next from both these runners almost immediately.
And we do see Solaris picking up some treasure here in Cave Magnus. Another one of those places that you don't normally see loot picked up, but on this flag set, every bit helps.
Lots of shields, I'm noticing. I've seen Dragoon shields and Samurai shields, more than we can ever possibly use.
Unfortunately, we cannot throw shields at the enemy. Nobody
That
here
would be
wants
nice.
to. Nobody here wants to be Captain America today.
What would be the Final Fantasy IV of Captain America? Like Captain Baron?
I'm trying to think of who would play Captain America.
It's got to be Cecil, and then Kane would be his Bucky. Oh, and Tybalt finds this is rough. The alt gauntlet fight up on the mountain.
In the back attack spot, which is so low-key rude.
Yeah, this is a little bit rough, especially because Rydia, like all of these monsters are weak to fire, and Rydia doesn't have any sort of fire spells at this point in time, except for their souls. Meantime, we will sit back and let DJ Spoony B play his beats. Oof.
And that was Garnet's theme from Final Fantasy IX, and kind of a nasty Baigan, but Solaris gets through it pretty handily.
And there's our direction, magma key. So we do not have to logically go to the moon first, which I'm sure is an ease to Solaris's mind at this point in time. Um, Fantastic news. Does very successfully get through that fight. Tybalt still struggling a little bit with this alt gauntlet. Probably the worst encounter for him to get right at that spot.
But does get through. The alt gauntlet falls into the deep ravine, and gonna take a safety save here before heading into the dais.
I do not blame Tybalt one iota. There's a lot that can happen. You never know. Will be interesting to see what our key item is. Solaris, meanwhile, gets the magma key, says, yep, let's skip ordeals for now. No reason to head there. And Tybalt gets... Okay. This could be interesting.
Now, Tybalt hasn't done Fabul yet. Maybe hoping for that single dip Fabul play, and this kind of might push him towards music.
Might be. If you've put it off up to this point in time, you might. The problem is I think his party would be in even worse position for that Baigan fight than Solaris was. Solaris had, at least a decently equipped edge at that point in time to be able to get through a very high magic defense spot. Tybalt would only have a cane that, has a couple levels on him, but I don't know. He might still have a very difficult time getting through that.
And Solaris is here kind of finding lots of light swords, but is kind of taking a risk, knows that there's one trap chest down here, but the rest he can loot with impunity.
Absolutely. So you kind of take a calculated risk when you're opening. It's a very high weighted spot going through these treasures, but it is a risk as you go through until you get to this point. Then it's free reign. It does look like Tybalt is doing exactly what you predicted and says, yeah, let's dodge Fabul for as long as we can. We'll be able to get the triple dip. Is going to take kind of the more difficult path to get there, though.
Choco Butt. Sorry. For those who don't know, that Chocobo Forest is shaped like a chocobo, and there are 2 treasures in the chocobo tail.
All right. Solaris, meanwhile, are going to show us who the king and queen of the Fade March are. Oh, okay. Vanilla King, and Yang is his queen.
You're definitely going to want to have that Cecil for taking on that Yang.
Would be nice.
But not a whole lot there for Solaris in the sealed cave. Gonna go ahead and talk to Yang down here. Unfortunately, is gonna have to go to Fabul 3 separate times.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much of a time save right now, but Tybalt, once he gets through this boss, will be able to do all of Fabul all at once, and he's going to be very, very happy for it. The question is just how much time will he save doing a single dip versus the time he's spending on this boss, because this is by no means a freebie.
Thankfully, Tybalt does have a few more levels than Solaris did, just from that Eblin dive, the Alt Gauntlet. So does have that advantage with the cane doing quite a bit more damage than, say, Solaris's cane might have done. And Berserk now is pointing out that Tybalt's Porum does no blink.
That's a great point. That could really get us into some interesting spots and past some stuff. Meanwhile, Sheila 1 gives us the Luca key.
That's disgusting. I love it.
Thanks. I hate it.
I have a feeling Solaris may want to go do Mount Ordeals since his other options are all terrible.
Yeah, it feels like the right move at this point. That'll lead him on the right path, and he and Tybalt will be very, very close at this point in time. Solaris, has his edge. Tybalt, I don't know. We'll see if he ends up checking the package. He might just for a character check and then immediately say yes. We'll see. But yeah, the other options that we have right now are either a couple of underground bosses in the Fey March, or Dwarf Castle, or Keyless Tower, which, oh.
But Tybalt is getting through this Beigen. We'll pick up his pan. Or no, we'll pick up his magma key. Then can use that pan and then can go to Fabul.
I honestly hope that Sheila 2 gives us something so we can avoid those others at this point. Not that I'm not optimistic, but I'm gonna guess at this point. Yeah, and as chat's pointing out, jokes on him. Mount Ordeals is also terrible. Yeah, he's gonna have that back attack. Now, in Solaris's defense, he's gonna be much better equipped to get through that back attack. Edge by himself casting Flame will blow through a lot of the worst parts of the back attack alt gauntlet.
Yep, the worst thing about that spot probably for Solaris is the fact that you have to wait for your turn because it's a back attack spot on every single fight. Solaris is having none of that.
He's like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, did he reset out of having the key?
He did reset out of having that Luca key. So, gonna go ahead and give Dwarf a try. This is a very bold play. Is banking on that, on Mount Ordeals having nothing.
That might be really bad, but I'm here for it.
And I think Tybalt is actually heading to Tamra. Might give us our dwarf check. And we have a title examiner.
One of the many, bureaucrats that helps make the Dwarven Society go. All of those tanks you see must be titled annually, and taxes paid to King Gaiot, who is in actuality a despot.
And it looks like so far our dwarf castle has been pretty free.
So far, yeah, with the Kaipo guards going through here, those two are going down. I don't think he's worried too much about XP in terms of making sure the officer goes down. Gonna let him run away, so he's gonna miss a chunk of experience, but don't think he's terribly concerned. Let's just get through. Meanwhile, we will get another character check. We'll see if it's someone we've already seen or perhaps our final character that we don't know who it is.
And it is just a duplicate with that cane.
Feels bad, man.
And Mom Bomb going straight for that Rydia, not wanting to have any rogue summons come out.
And this is possibly one of the worst spots for a Mom Bomb to be in, too. One of the benefits of this particular spot is that it has relatively low hit points. Normally, Mom Bomb, though, gets some extra hit points because of everything that happens, so yeah, there's going to be some explosions happening.
And that first Zeus Rage coming out too soon had not split into 6, so only hitting one of those bombs.
All right, so does get through it.
Only finding a second ribbon on Tybalt's side from the Sylphs.
All right, so the Sheila turn-in will eventually end up showing us, if Solaris will be punished for skipping Mount Ordeals or not. We know, well, I mean, he still might if the Luca key ends up hiding something, but we're not entirely sure yet.
And Solaris finding an adamant, which does allow him to forge that Excalibur if he picks up a Cecil.
Big pickup. That's significant because right now we don't know who our 5th character is going to be. Cecil's just lying there in bed, waiting. But now it's coming down. We're back down to a coin flip because we've checked everything that we need to, except for Sheila 2. Yeah, it could be Sheila 1 as well with Luca Key, which would be horrible with the party that we presently have. But it could be Sheila 2 as our guidance or Keyless Tower, which...
Or it could just all be hidden behind those wonderful Fey March bosses.
Don't you put that evil out into the world.
But Tybalt has picked up his package, and we'll see if he bothers to check that, maybe hoping for a Fusoya or just somebody who can kind of do some damage.
Another thing I thought about is, and help me out here, because I don't have the flags memorized, but our Edge can steal sirens from these alerts that are in the tower trap chest, can't he?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that to me seems like the play. Like if at this point, if nothing comes out of this particular spot, if I'm Solaris, I am stealing a bunch of sirens and I'm getting ready to grind and doing those Fate March bosses next.
Sheila 2 could just have the darkness crystal, which is ultra required.
Oopsie! Solaris will eventually have to go back and do that. Required pan.
And we find Valvalis hiding at the top of the tower here. Valvalis is kind of rude. Hits kind of hard here, but with that berserk edge, I feel like we'll get through this fight pretty quickly.
I tend to agree. Tybalt, meanwhile, sees the edge and goes, yes. And kind of as I pointed out earlier, we haven't seen Solaris end up go back to do anything in Castle Eblin, which Tybalt did do, and found some really nice equipment with the Murasame sword in it. So while his edge isn't quite at the same level that Solaris is at, Tybalt's going to have much better equipment for him.
Now, I will say I'm a little surprised that Tybalt's going to sit through this cutscene without checking the Moon character first. Just because if that is another edge there on the Lunar dais, this is quite a time loss. And Valvalis is being exceptionally rude here.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing good I can say at this point in time, so.
Kane, please. Hit the lady with the spinny hair.
And Edge goes down. This is a real rough fight right now for Solaris. He's doing his best, absolutely doing his best right now. But Valvalis is very rude at this spot.
On the bright side, we found a bunch of light swords that we can just fling at her.
Yeah, I really think at this point it's probably more beneficial to just leave her spun up like that so she's not just swinging for the fences constantly at you.
Antidale, please.
We will have none of that here. We are very serious and professional commentators. We will not be party to your puns, sir.
But Tybalt getting the news that there is a Dark Knight, well, actually a Paladin Cecil at this point, waiting if he does find the Sand Ruby, but does not have that Adamant Rock yet, so doesn't really care probably.
And Solaris does have to reset out. Oof. Wait, what?
Did Solaris use, or does have 3 sirens from his starter pack, so might want to get a couple more levels on this party and give that Val another shot.
Possibly. Thank you, Bad Karma, for pointing out. I saw the same thing. I saw the Dark Knight Cecil sprite. It's an overworld sprite glitch. I was really confused for about 3 seconds.
But Tybalt will be the first of our restreamed runners to head on up to the moon at 42 minutes and 48 seconds.
I mean, I like the play. We've done just about everything that we can do on Earth. I'm a little bit worried about levels, but at least we're going to get a character check. If it's an edge up on the moon, I will laugh.
Now, there's not a whole lot of freebies left that could be up here on the moon either.
No, let's see. We've seen Yang. We've seen Dark Knight Cecil is in the underworld. We've seen King and Queen Evelyn, guards. My goodness, I don't know how. There's almost no free fights. We haven't seen Water Hag yet, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Water Hag and Dark Imps are the only two free fights left.
Hey, free Cecil.
That is a very nice pickup. Cecil is always a good character to find. And who knows, maybe that pink tail will hold a crystal sword.
That would be fantastic. Although I'm fine with an Excalibur, which is very doable right at the moment.
And Chad is pointing out that very likely going to take that Cecil straight to the Fey March. Maybe get a couple of levels first, but go and bonk that Yang on the head.
Is Solaris picking up? He's like, I just want targets. Help me with targets.
Yeah, maybe looking at trying to slow down that Val a little bit and getting an agility anchor. And we see Tybalt has been surprised by an egg, because eggs are just so surprising.
I mean, an egg that size, I think I'd be surprised too. Just being honest here.
And we've gone ahead and charmed it, so now it likes us.
And now we see Solaris opting for grabbing some sirens here. I actually really like this because with the party comp and everything we have, we don't necessarily have a natural grind in terms of we don't have a Tella or a food to do any sort of grinds that are available in the Giant. We can do treasure chests up on the moon, but it's not fantastic. So I actually really like this because it solves kind of one of the major pieces that we'll eventually have to get to anyway.
And we are getting the wonderful damage from the Legend Sword. Or was that a lightsaber?
Might be a lightsaber.
And looks like Tybalt does want to take on that Dwarf Castle boss before maybe going and trying to bonk Yang on the head.
I can understand that. I think it's an efficiency play. Like you want to minimize your flight time. I mean, I'm personally a fan of checking your freebies first, just in case, but I can understand the logic of coming in here because it's right here and you have to knock it out anyway, especially if you're still hunting to fill out your party.
And it looks like Solaris is a little more comfortable with his levels. Gonna go ahead and give that Val another shot.
Got a couple more levels. Will be interesting to see if the levels and then an extra target with Edward there will do it. We'll make it at least a little bit easier. Might be just enough.
And getting that successful Odin cast, killing that captain, will get a little bit more experience.
This is a great back and forth between these racers. I mean, they've can you imagine when they first went up to Mount Hobbs? It was literally like frames between the two of them when they were checking that particular location, and now they've gone in completely separate directions, waiting on Solaris to eventually go back to Mount Ordeals, which he's abandoned. Um, it's just nice seeing a real good back and forth between these two at this point.
Yep, absolutely. Just seeing the different routes that our runners feel comfortable with and the gambles they're willing to make. For instance, Tybalt did gamble on only having to single dip Fabul, and that did work out in his favor. Whereas Solaris kind of gambled on not having to fight that alt gauntlet there at Ordeals, and unfortunately that is going to bite him. But this fight looking a little bit better for Solaris.
Little bit. He's not quite out of the woods yet, but at least starting to get some blinks up. Edge is swinging now, so this will be better.
And Tybalt is about to pick up his Adamant Rock. I suspect we will quickly see him head to forge that at Kokol's shop and really get that Cecil online.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's a pretty decent priority. I mean, Excalibur Cecil can do so much work for you. I mean, Crystal Sword Cecil would be better, obviously, but Excalibur Cecil is just as good, and it's the second best weapon in the entire game. And the fact that you can get it before you go to the moon, is just great. All right, is immediately turn that in. Val is still putting up quite a bit of a fight. If this ends up being anything that will push Solaris down a rabbit hole and not push him to Mount Ordeals, it could really backfire on him. Worst case scenario at this point, Baron Key, honestly. We'll eventually need to get the hook. So finally goes down.
And it looks like Tybalt is going to check Luca Cave. This is quite a long check.
And I don't think that was anything from that vow.
It was an edge sword.
I mean, that's nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
But probably is best case scenario for Solaris, as it's not something that will send him further and further from that Mount Ordeals check.
He does eventually have to get up there. We know he has to get up there. He's concerned about it now, I think, because he's done all the other checks and knows that there's really nothing left for him to go do.
Might also be worried that he exited or reset out of that Luca key. Maybe worried that he has to go back and take care of that.
Or he's going to sit here and grind until he can do the 2 Fate March bosses.
I mean, it's not a bad decision.
This is one of those things where you can understand the logic of doing that because you've already fated ordeals, and if you're going to make a gamble like that, I'm very adamant when you race, you stick to your gambles and you follow through with them. Baron Key, by the way, located in the sealed cave. That's super interesting. But you do want to stick to your gambles and follow through with them because that's how you win large group races like this. The problem is that we all know it's the wrong decision. So he's making a perfectly logical decision based on everything that he knows, but rando gonna rando sometimes.
And on Tybalt's side, we do see this Dark Elf. Dark Elf, not really scary. Not your Wyvern, not your Evil Wall. So I don't see Tybalt having any problem with this, and we'll probably head on up to the moon.
The other interesting thing is about, the Dark Elf Me change. As soon as he hits this dragon form, he actually loses the boss bit, and he's susceptible to the stop spell, or an hourglass, if you happen to have it right now. But also, Excalibur Cecil will do a lot of work on him as well.
Yeah, Cecil angry.
That's one of the interesting nuances about this particular game is you can learn all of the interesting boss strategies and tactics and everything you need to do, or you can get an Excal Cecil and just let him go burn.
And we do see kind of a Leviathan play here. Totally understandable. Does have quite a bit more levels, and we'll see if he's able to get through this Leviathan.
Yep, vanilla Leviathan, so we can kind of know what to expect from it. We have Edge fully decked out and certainly doing some work in here. Neil Bari is making a good point in chat. We know where D-Mist is. D-Mist is at the Beigen spot. Gave us our first item in the entire game. So we haven't had to do any sort of boss hunts right now, which makes that Baron key extra attractive right now because that's now 3 checks that we can do by going through Baron. I got to imagine Tybalt is going to be going, right towards Baron before heading back up to the moon.
And chat is pointing out that Tybalt did not even have that Excalibur equipped for that Dark Elf fight.
That was just the lightsaber doing work? Wow.
Yeah, Dark Elf doesn't really care for holy based anything. which makes sense, because he likes the dark element.
And just getting word from our wonderful tracker, Aegis. Thank you so much for reminding me, Aegis. Tybalt, he's at 9 key items right now. So no reason to do any sort of a grind right now or any sort of additional leveling, because if you get one more key item, all of your experience is going to double, which absolutely makes doing a triple check Baron just a fantastic idea anyway. Hitting that 10 key items is going to make things a whole lot easier.
Unfortunately, on Demist, Excalibur Cecil does not go burr.
No, he kind of goes because he's weak to darkness. The nice thing is, if you're still looking for equipment at this point in the race, although we're pretty decently decked out at this point, Baron Castle is actually a great place to go shopping in all of those treasure chests.
And it looks like the King of Baron has moved back to his rightful throne.
I appreciate this. I'm happy the King of Baron is back at home.
And Solaris is having to take on this karate the legit way, which is much less fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit rough. Oh, there's our 7th and final character. We have a Quake Kid. And Tybalt is ditching his Rydia.
Rude.
That's interesting.
I mean, it makes sense in that that is a base level Palom that you can slingshot with 10 key items. But I hate it. I hate all of it.
Yeah, I guess the problem is slingshot strats are only good if you plan on doing like a single large, like a D machine sort of grind, and we're not really set up to do that right now, or even a Mac Giant grind. Like, I don't see the benefit in slingshotting anyone right now or setting up a slingshot. In a rune axe.
Unfortunately, did not get a key item from that check. So, gonna go ahead and check the basement, the Baron basement.
And Yang only gave us the pass. Now that'll be interesting. That'll come in handy later. But at this point, Solaris understands, uh-oh, I done messed up.
Yep, at this point, our runners will have to go to the moon and come back, because I don't think there's enough key item spots for all of the key items that we need to only have to single dip moon.
No, because we still need the pink tail, the hook, and the tower key. And yeah, we're out of locations at this point, unless no, that can't be.
But Solaris has figured out, okay, this is bad. I need to go back to Mount Ordeals.
I do appreciate Solaris, though, following through with his gambles up to the point that he knew. Just knowing what he knew, committing to it, and following through. I have respect for that.
And we'll have a much easier time getting through that alt gauntlet. Has a lot more levels, a lot more things at his disposal to kind of get through those multi-enemy packs.
A rat tail in the basement. So good news, that's 10 key items. We can't do anything with it though. Because we still need the hook to be able to turn that in.
Yep, but Tybalt does have one more check, and that is that demist. So maybe has a hook, and rat tail leads to something? Rat tail leads to the super cannon room, which leads to the pink tail. Then you could single dip moon.
Something, something, something profit.
But Tybalt not checking that demist. Did he forget?
Maybe that would be concerning, because if that holds something, ooh. Oh, Tybalt, yeah, Tybalt is hunting for sirens. He may not actually be doing Tina's Tower right now.
Fingers crossed. As somebody who has joined the Forgotten to Check Demist Club many, many moons ago, I hope that that is the case.
Haven't we all joined that club? Like, isn't that club just the free enterprise Discord at this point in time?
Yeah, that's very true. Between that and forgetting to forge your crystal.
Speaking of Discord, you should join us over on Discord if you haven't already in the Final Fantasy IV free enterprise Discord. Scala, I see you.
And if you want to play this game yourself, definitely check out the website. You don't have to play on flags that are quite so rude. If you just want to play something fun where you have a million adamant armors, or everything in shops is free, you can play however you want to play.
And if you have any questions as you're trying to boot up your first seed and get things rolling, there's hundreds of people in the Discord, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds at this point, who are willing to answer your questions. We have kind of a newbie room to help explain everything, to answer questions. Everyone starts someplace. Don't feel like you have to join us in terms of speed running, although if you eventually want to, absolutely feel free to join us doing that as well. This is honestly, and I mean this with all my heart, one of the best online communities that exists on the internet. And I recognize that means a lot of the internet, but it really is true. It's absolutely welcoming and accepting, no matter who you are. So kind of jump on it. Help us out.
And like Chad is pointing out, be sure to follow our featured runners tonight. They are kind of putting on a show for us. If it weren't for them, it would just be me and Vitasia just kind of talking, him sometimes making puns and me cringing.
I don't know. I don't make puns. I make fun of people who make puns. That's all I do. But fair. That's otherwise fair. You would be cringing either way.
And a big shout out also to our kind of back end staff. We have Aegis here on tracking for us tonight. And we have Neobari bringing you the actual show with restreaming. But Solaris now on the correct path. Will pick up that second ribbon, re-pick up that Luca key, and get his darkness crystal.
Yes, he knows the path now. It'll be interesting to see if he dives in to do Baron at all. Now, again, we know the rat tail is there. We haven't yet even seen the D-Mist turn in, so Solaris may be able to make up a little bit of time that he lost by dodging that Luca key turn in and Baron entirely and going straight to the moon. It would put him behind in terms of the key item checks. But so let's see, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be 9. No, this will be okay. No, that's it.
And Solaris fighting the true final boss of Final Fantasy IV, the inventory boss. So I'm a little bit confused, which isn't unusual, but we have left this Palom dead. Is Tybalt planning on making this Palom his anchor?
That's really what it looks like. So he had the leveled Rydia, and that's apparently all he's good for at this point. Letting a dead Pelham sit and kind of relying on 3 melee with a single white mage. Now, it's going to be interesting getting through there. Melee characters are very efficient, and they're all his Cecil and his Edge are equipped very well. Haven't really gotten a ton of decent equipment. I think I've seen maybe an Ice Brand for Kane, but haven't seen a ton of good weapons for him. But regardless, he's got his 10 key items, grinding him up. The only real concern is whether that Porum can survive enough big bangs to get through and let you kind of power overwhelm it.
Yeah, I think the only good kind of gear we've seen for that Palom or for that Porum is that ribbon. So no white shirt, no life staff, nothing to kind of boost her in terms of dodging big bang rolls.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that because this is a decent party, but I don't know if they quite have the damage to survive to get through to that. But I mean, we'll see. If you can nerf the first one, maybe. And we'll see what Solaris does here with this Cecil. He does not have an X-Cal, did not go and turn it in because didn't think he needed it. It'll be interesting if Solaris picks up Cecil, subs him in for that, Deadward right now.
Interesting. Gets rid of that Kane.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out.
I can definitely understand the reasoning why. Like you said, we have not found a lot in the way of Kane weapons. And Kane is pretty reliant on having a decent weapon to put out the damage.
As Flurry is pointing out in chat, he's like, BRB XCal. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Tybalt getting to take the very easy way out of fighting that Yang and does pick up his pass.
Well, that makes things interesting. Unfortunately, we know that, I mean, it'll be a bit of a time waste here for the Leviathan. Definitely spending less time on these particular bosses. Has leveled up to the low 50s. He's quite well decked out. These are, I mean, this is just interesting to see that we're at an hour and almost 15 minutes. No objectives are completed yet. 0.
Moon is definitely not haunted tonight, y'all.
And here's the really rough part is Solaris is getting ready to set up doing his grinds to get some extra levels by doing eggs, scrambling them up real quick, but only has 8 key items. Doesn't have the rat tail. It doesn't have
Baron Key.
Baron Key. Yeah, so that 10 key items where it doubles the experience that's available has made all the difference right now. And this is going to take Solaris at least a little bit of time. Now, he may not grind up to as high levels as Tybalt has. May not. He may be expecting to gain some more levels up on the moon because we have a lot more bosses to kill. But it's going to be a lot slower going.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a base level Cecil does not do a whole lot of damage to eggs.
Nope. So having to kill this particular egg the long way, it only that 34,000 experience. Now Cecil may be able to one shot. Cecil and Edge are going to be doing most of the work right now.
Tybalt, you have to go to Mama Rydia. You have to go.
Okay, chat. We're going to have a discussion here, chat, because this is setting ourselves up for a lot of shenanigans. What is Rydia's mom holding? I want guesses in chat as to what Rydia's mother is holding, and I will shout you out if you're correct. If we ever find out.
I still say that it's the tower key and the tower is gating the pink tail.
Yeah, there could be a ton. Like, we have no idea. We don't, I mean, right now we haven't needed anything from Baron up to this point in time. We know the rat tail is locked in the Baron basement. We just got a rune axe from defeating King of Baron, which was actually the King of Baron in Odin. But remember, D-Mist was there as well. And we haven't seen what Rydia's mother holds for us yet. In part because we think Tybalt may have forgotten about that part, going up to the moon right now. So get your guesses in. We'll see.
But both our runners are heading down to the lunar subterrane. And it looks like both are going to head to the required objective of probably that ribbon room and that Masamune altar. And looks like Tybalt is going to go ahead and go complete bottom up, starting with that Masamune altar.
That's interesting. At least you're getting the worst out first. Hey, Dark Imps. I'm fine with this.
And Asura there at the ribbon room spot. Ew.
Yeah, I mean, we have a Mute Knife Edge, so it's not horrible. It's not fantastic, but it's not, you know, maybe. Yeah, I agree with chat right now. The Dark Imps, this is free. I mean, we can stop them if we still had any hourglasses at this point in time. They're not doing a ton of damage.
Now that rune axe that we found could be very, very useful on this Ashura.
True. King will actually do quite a bit of work. That does extra damage for mages.
And even that mute knife that we picked up way at the beginning of the game, Edge is putting out some work with that.
Yeah, we got Porum casting blinks across the board, trying to help protect the party. Excuse me, that's the wrong sword that we get there. I insist we speak to a manager.
We got some French vanilla edge swords.
This isn't what I ordered. But finally, at an hour 21, we have our first objective complete.
And that sword did actually give us, I think, a full set of epic edge swords.
All right, so one Asura fight starts as the other one ends, getting some extra levels, yeah, because Solaris didn't do a ton of grinding, just kind of bare minimum grinding at this point, but does complete the vanilla ribbon room. Earth Crystal, along with the Protect Ring. Okay.
That's pretty spicy. Earth Crystal is a long, long check. But you do get that awesome treasury.
At this point, if you have to loot the treasury in an hour and 22 minutes with only one objective complete, there are larger issues with your run. I mean, I'd do it because I love opening boxes, but I would do it knowing that I'm not winning a race.
And we do have another free fight here with Bahamut. You know, just use a Star Veil. It's fine. Bahamut's sick. He's gonna go blarg.
Yeah, but he's still looking for a little bit of experience too. So you would like to keep more than just your form up. Meanwhile, Tybalt, I blinked and I missed that Asura fight. So Tybalt's doing well on levels and equipment and everything else needed.
So now we'll see kind of what our runners decide to do with the rest of the moon. Because, you know who we haven't seen yet?
Ha ha ha! I mean, I hope that's what you were alluding to. Otherwise, I feel really
Well,
silly.
there's Ha Ha Ha, with Golbez, there's Angry Blarg with Wyvern, and there's I Want Hugs with Evil Wall.
Yeah, so no Wyvern, no Golbez, no Rubicante, no Ogopogo. There's a lot of nasty bosses that are still out there. No Evil Wall, like you said. This could be fun. And the problem is with those bosses and the spots that we have left, it really puts Tybalt at an advantage because he's over leveled at this point, in the 50s in his levels. Meanwhile, Solaris, while doing kind of the strategically smarter thing to save time, isn't going to be able to power his way through those bosses. And they're going to be very tough bosses that will take a lot of time.
Or it could just be Water Hag.
That's just playing with my emotions.
But only getting a spoon from that Bahamut. And yeah, I mean, you can throw it once for lots of damage. But looks like Tybalt is going to probably check that Wyvern altar, see who's hanging out there, and is probably hoping to just find the key items that he needs to beat the game.
With every key item we find, we get closer to the ultimate scenario where, Mother Rydia is just sitting there. It's like, please, you killed me a long time ago by killing Demas. Are you ever going to pick up this wonderful item I have for you?
Yeah, and these Dark Imps are not exactly free for Solaris. They're kind of punchy.
Yeah, Tybalt's levels really made all the difference there. Just powering his way through. It'll be nice for Edge once we get here, and it'll have his second objective done. Meanwhile, Tybalt is finding Antlion, which is, this isn't a fantastic place for Antlion. He could be a little bit punchy here, but nothing that Tybalt can't handle right now, which I think is the key point. I mean, his Porum has over 2,000 health. Come on.
But Tybalt is getting, Solaris is getting some life glitches off on these Dark Imps. You do not usually see life glitches on this flag set.
Hey, every little bit of experience helps, especially if you're trying to grind a little bit. That was 3 to 4 levels of pop at this point. Whew.
And for those who may not be familiar, the life glitch is kind of a weird thing where every enemy is at 0 vitality naturally, and you kill them, and you can immediately throw a life potion, and it brings them back at 0 vitality. And then they die again, but you get double experience.
Oh, that's required. That is very much required. Tower key. And Tybalt says, yep, that's enough for me to go back home.
I don't know. I might put a save here and see what Paladin and Bahamut have.
That's what I'm worried about too. I mean, we're at almost level 60, so I mean, he's not even worried about Zeromus at this point. But yeah, it's more of a time save at this point. Do what you need to do. Yeah, going back in, gonna check to see what the key item is going to be. I imagine if it's not what Tybalt is looking for, he won't even wait for the fanfare to finish before he resets.
And Chad is asking why we would not normally life glitch on this flag set. You cannot buy life potions on this flag set, so everything either comes from your starter pack or what you find in a chest. So you don't typically have a lot of free life potions, unfortunately. Some people can get fancy and use Life 1 with your healers, but it's fuzzy.
Plague is up here. This is another boss that will be interesting because we have a character that's already dead for both, so I don't think we're going to have any problems with this for either runner.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very quick kill from both of our runners. Just berserk everyone, and it just all works out.
Solaris is resetting out, and oh no, and we know that's required.
Hopefully we'll go back to that spot after maybe taking out some other spots and getting a little bit more XP.
Meanwhile, just a Stardust Rod available at the Pale Dim spot where Plague was located, and yeah, reset out. Not worried about getting Column equipped at all. That's his anchor. Probably going over here, checking what Bahamut's got.
Totally valid. We will see if there is any value here at Cave Bahamut, or if it's just a dream.
Well, it doesn't matter if this dream is alive or not. The dream of dreams is still available. Tetsiga, the crystal altar was Antlion, which does have a required key item in the tower key.
Game, where's the rude bosses? Where are they?
They're coming. Maybe. Well, they're not on the moon, apparently. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Where are the... Now I'm angry, too.
Yeah, I'm a little upset.
Back-to-back in Zot, probably? Possibly. We do know that in the hook route is Dark Knight Cecil. So one of our free fights is actually over there.
Frogs! Lunar frogs!
I mean, it's always fun to see lunar frogs, but I don't know. It's always taking too much time for me. Solaris finds the bad news just a Stardust Rod. He has not found any progression right now. So right now, his worst dream is requiring, like, Luca Key required, or going to do that Earth Crystal. He is probably sweating right now.
Is using a cabin, so likely heading back down to give that antlion another shot. Or just gonna make a liar out of me, that's fine too.
Just an apple at Bahamut. So Solaris is absolutely wasting his time right now. He doesn't know that. But we are on our way back to Earth. This could get interesting quickly.
So our choices are that tower key, the Mamaridia spot, or that Earth Crystal.
I mean, Tybalt will. I imagine Tybalt. The first thing he's going to do is go do that super cannon. When in doubt, check your objectives.
Yep, and that's exactly where he's going. And from there, he'll be able to try and figure out, okay, what are my choices?
Meanwhile, Solaris is going to start this D-Lunar fight. I imagine it won't be too difficult. Very similar strategy is possible. Meanwhile, yeah, Tybalt's climbing the tower. I love this particular play because we know he's got to do it. Did we see Tybalt actually do top of tower at any point in time?
Nope. So he's going to go ahead, take on that Valvalis, and get whatever junk was up there, and then likely go on down to tower room.
Oof, and yeah, these D-Lunars are doing quite a bit of damage. It's really amazing the difference in that just leveling up that much more has done Tybalt, because he's crushed everything since then.
Yep, and unfortunately, Tybalt doesn't really have the option, or Solaris doesn't really have the option of using those Star Veils because he Star Veiled up that Sura to take her down.
And the D-Lunars are in their virus reflex scripts right now because of, fighting at this point. So this is going to get rough.
I'm really surprised that Cecil is not doing more damage with that Excalibur, though.
I am also surprised that his Edge is still equipped with a Mute Knife when we know for a fact he's got two much more mighty weapons.
And Rowdy Sniper asking, did we not back row that Cecil? That is very possible.
I could swear he did, but I could be wrong. All right, so Tybalt found that there wasn't anything up top, so doing what he needs to do now. Well, here's Rubicante.
Rubicante about to have a real bad time.
Leg and dead.
And with the cannon room done, that means that our third objective, which is objective number 4, has been completed.
All right, so we'll see what key item Tybalt ends up getting. Remember, you complete the objective, and then the key item is at the base after going through a short cutscene here. We'll see if, we're still missing both the pigtail and the hook, which is just mean at this point.
Meanwhile, we do have a first place finisher who is not on Restream today. Roderick McBain has finished first place with a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 10 seconds.
GG, McBain. We have the hook now, so we can turn in the rat tail.
And still no check of Mama Rydia.
So here's the deal. The rat tail can be the pink tail, the sand ruby, or something else, because we have 3 checks left to make. We also have earth crystal yet to do. What's it gonna be?
Let's see what folks here in the grotto have today.
Pink tail. Oh. All right, so now we're going to immediately turn into pink tail. We got the objectives complete. Crystal is done at 139. Going to the crystal. We're not going to get to see what Mama Rydia had with the Dragoon Lance to turn that in. So guess what? Now we have at least a pretty good weapon for Kane as we're getting ready to absolutely slaughter Zeromus directly. And because we have a pass, chat, we have to ask a very important question right now. Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
But first, the treasury.
Raise that treasury!
Hey, power shirt, protect ring, rune ring.
Pocket swine.
And crystal shield. I mean, that wasn't bad. Wholly unnecessary for what we have right now, but not bad. Power shirt with Excal Cecil, plus getting, all things said, I'm gonna give that probably a 5 out of 10. Like we got for the end of the game, the fact that we got anything decent that we can equip, I'm happy with that check.
And Solaris is still working through these D-Lunars. They're still being pretty rude.
At this point, I just feel for Solaris because he is just grinding his head against so many bosses that just a couple more levels would make things so much easier.
But with that, Fire 3 does take out those D-Lunars.
All right, so we have, poor Palom named PK4787 in Tybalt's party list. Using this crystal and will almost immediately die, and is now setting himself up to just crush Zeromus.
And we have Resetness, which I feel like both of our runners are probably feeling right now.
I mean, that I love the joke bosses like this. It's just absolutely fantastic. Um, don't blink, by the way, because this is going to be a very, very, very fast boss. Oh no, and Solaris is like, well, let's keep following. Let's turn in this Earth Crystal. And based on the bosses that are left, I'm going to go out on a limb and think Zero Miss is one of the bosses up here for him. So he's going to have a bad time.
You mean Golbez?
Yeah, what did I say?
Zero Miss.
Did I say something else? Oh my god.
No, they won't let us put Zero Miss in other spots, unfortunately.
I apologize, chat. Wow, I'm just running on autopilot.
But thankfully, there are not really any more rabbit holes to find for Solaris.
And to put into perspective, Solaris right now, after clearing all but one boss on the moon, is currently at the same level that Tybalt was when he first went to the moon. Ogopogo says hi. I'll take half of your HP.
Ogopogo, not gonna be too scary here.
I mean, other than the whole half your HP is gone, which you know is going to happen in the beginning. It's just annoying.
But we have rocks on Tybalt's side. And that is GG. Tybalt is our second place finisher with an official race bot time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 42 seconds. And I think I heard a beding during all of that.
Yeah.
I think it's joined by Tybalt.
GG.
So walk us through that one. It was, we were honestly a little worried about you there for a while.
Yeah, so I went and checked the package character, so I had the edge. I'm like, cool, I can do a little bit more. I didn't want to go to the moon right away because I hadn't seen any of the really nasty bosses like Golbez, Wyvern, Odin before then. Some of the really nasty bosses that could be on the moon. So I'm like, okay, I'll steal Sirens with Edge, and then I'll get my levels before I even touch the moon. Therefore, I can at least make sure that I have HP or an MP to be able to handle it.
Yeah, that ended up being kind of the defining trait. You had your 10 key items, so you leveled up before you went to the moon. Solaris, also on Restream, didn't get 10 key items before he went up onto the moon, although it was right around the same time. So he tried to level as he was going through the bosses, and it took him much longer. In fact, he skipped the ant line up to this point in time, still trying to get through, and is having kind of a bad time.
Oof, yeah, that ant line can be a little nasty there. And with what the options were for the party members, it can be a little trickier with the counters that are coming out from ant lion there.
Now, I have an all-important question.
And we've been talking about this the entire time. So this is like the question that you must answer, the most important question of any interview you've ever taken.
Why you no check Mama Rydia?
Oh, I forgot, actually. I forgot. That's the whole reason why I went to Baron after I got the Baron key. Was like, I saw Demas there. I should check Demas, and never did. totally spaced on it.
Half of chat was hoping that it was nothing. The other half of chat was hoping it was important.
And then if the rat tail hadn't panned out with the pink tail, my next move was to check Earth Crystal, completely forgetting about the Demus check.
Thankfully, it looks like it was only a sand ruby, so not important.
Yeah, which would have been another Cecil. But with no dupes, I already had one.
Now, how did you feel when you got that Cecil and then picked up that adamant rock?
I'm like, cool, give him an X-Cal. It's not as good as a crystal, but it'll do. I'm like, I'm gonna go immediately forge that so he has the crystal sword for everything else. And then I went and checked Luca Cave, and I didn't actually have it equipped during that fight.
Well, for a light sword, that was still putting out some pretty nice damage on Dark
Yeah,
Elf.
I think the light sword actually still has the holy element on it, so it will do extra damage to both Mylanzi and Dark Elf. It's Light Legend and Excal and Crystal that all have the holy element.
But that was a wild race to watch. You and Solaris were literally in lockstep for the first few minutes of that, and then just y'all went completely separate ways.
It's usually what ends up happening is that everybody has their own routes that they take, and for some it pans out, and others it doesn't. But then again, that's what the whole thing with randomizer is. You never know which path's going to be the correct one.
Yep, and you definitely had that pan out for you with that single dip Fabool.
I was so happy about that. Going to Twin Harp first, not touching Fabool, and I'm like, ooh, underground, yes.
But Vatasia, did you have any other questions?
I guess the only question was related to that. Is that kind of your normal strategy to dodge Fabool as long as you can in that early overworld part, or is it just kind of, well, maybe if I get something along the way, but you'll do it if you have to?
Generally, I do try to avoid it, but if like at Ordeals 1, if it's got a really nasty boss like Wyvern there, no, that's not gonna gate underground access unless there's no safety checks on. I might go somewhere else to find my underground access first. It's all situational in that.
Cool. Yeah, that was the only other question I had. I guess any final thoughts on the scene before we let you go?
No, I think it was pretty nice, getting the French vanilla edge sword at the Ogopogo spot.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me speak to a manager. I said they gave us the wrong sword.
Well, I had a completely decked out edge with both Masamunes on them, which I was quite happy with. And to find a third one at the top of tower.
Do you want more edge swords?
I could have darted it, but zerk them up and let them loose.
Yep. Well, again, GG's. That was a joy to watch, and we thank you so much for letting us restream you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the restream. I know Nabari does a lot in the back. I'm guessing Nabari was doing both tracking and restreaming. And thanks, Alexel and Vatasia, for commentating. Again, as always, we couldn't do this without you. Shout outs to you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. You're the one who's actually racing and letting us talk about you while you're not listening.
This is true. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good night. And meanwhile, while we were chatting with Tybalt, Solaris was able to get through that Antlion, has picked up his tower key, and is sort of on the right path. Still does need to do Baron to take on Odin, though.
And in order to get that Baron key, has to go through the Luca cave. So unfortunately for Solaris, this is going to be a full clear for him. Unfortunately, that's not to say that he's made any wrong decisions. In fact, to be perfectly frank, I think based on the information that Solaris had, he made every correct choice that he could have. But rando's going to rando sometimes, and you're going to have these seeds where you go down rabbit holes and you clear everything that you absolutely possibly can. It's just kind of the nature of the game.
And we have had a few more finishers with Jay Brun TR finishing in third place with a time of 1:46.50. Micro Korgs finishing very soon after that with a time of 1:47.49, and Possumorpheus with a time of 1:49.37. But definitely, again, want to shout out both of our runners, both fantastic runners, great members of the community, and our behind-the-scenes staff again, our tracker Aegis and our restreamer Neobari, doing all the heavy lifting for us. We do see Solaris is on the right track. Does want to take a quick safety save.
Don't blame him for the safety save at this point. When you're feeling this far behind, the last thing you want to do is have something go wrong, and then it sets you back.
But I have a feeling won't have too many problems here with the Dark Elf. That Cecil does have an Excalibur, and Dark Elf doesn't like that very much.
No, Solaris is going into it at even in a higher level than Tybalt did when he first did. This is going to be a very, very fast fight. He probably knows at this point that he's going to go down a rabbit hole. He's not going to get lucky and get the pink tail right away, which would be nice, but he knows that at this point he's in a bit of a slug. Skull Kitty stepped away. What was that, D-Mist? We don't officially have it confirmed because we haven't seen it on stream, but I think by deduction, we've determined that it is Sand Ruby.
I believe we did see that at on Tybalt's side on the spoiler log.
Oh, on the credits. You're right. You're right. I don't look at things when credits roll. I pay attention to the guy who's actually playing. It is a very lovely credit scroll. Yes, it is.
but Cecil has been zerked up and now goes burr.
Yeah, Dark Elf does not stand a chance.
And while Solaris is heading on to his next check, which is going to be the Baron Key, do just want to shout out the race we have tomorrow over on Randomania at 10 p.m. It is one of our community races, which is open up to anyone who wants to play. All of our races are. And yeah, had some fun flags this week, the same ones as Monday. But yeah, we just ask if you're looking for more free enterprise, 10 p.m. Eastern on Randomania. And we actually have races going on, I think, almost every day of the week now.
That's right. I think Monday through Friday and even some Saturdays, there's some community club or there's some community race of some sort that is being run either here on Free Enterprise or our sister channels or partner channels over at Randomania or elsewhere, even sometimes, because this has been such a great and growing community up to this point in time. Really happy we're able to bring Free Enterprise content to you almost any day of the week. I think before the last tournament, it was only 2 days a week, right?
That sounds about right. I know there were races most days, but now looking at the calendar, we do have a race every single day of the week. They are not all restreamed, of course, but if you're just looking to do some fun racing flags, there's a little bit of something for everyone.
And even on days that we aren't necessarily streaming, come on over to our Discord. There are always pickup races going on. Honestly, I get Discord notifications, a dozen times a day of random pickup races that are being run. So even if you don't necessarily have to listen to Allie and I here talking about the races. If you just want to tune in and watch, one of the hundreds of other community members stream this race, those are all actually listed on our Discord as well as they're doing, async races or other races just amongst the community. So feel free to come on over and join us and take part in our little quickly growing community in this corner of the internet.
Yep, absolutely. This is a fantastic community. Newbies are always welcome. We have a Newbies Corner, so you can ask those questions of things you might not remember. We have awesome guides written by our community members on different aspects, from the very basic all the way up to some of the more advanced stuff.
And just when you think there's nothing left to learn, new tech gets. Imagine this: new tech is still getting learned about this game. What is it? 30 years after its release.
Yep, and there's always something new to learn. I think every time I do a restream, I learn something new.
All right, so Cecil is going to be rewarded with the rune axe. But he has the rat tail, so he's good to go. He is on the path. Very, very quickly will be done.
Wait, didn't Rattail come from Odin, I thought?
I believe he did that first and then just opted to kill the boss as a faster way of getting out.
That makes sense. I have a cat trying to shove her face into my face, so I'm slightly distracted.
And Solaris is checking Rydia's mother officially. Reset and done.
Wait, looks like did not do Odin yet, so gonna do Odin, get that rat tail, immediately get that pink tail, and then be on the way to Zeromus.
Oh, thank you, Scala Kitty, because I did promise a shout out on stream if you guessed right. Yes, Scala Kitty and Tetsiga were the two people who did guess Sand Ruby for Rydia's mother. I remember I did make that promise. I would give you guys shout outs. Promise fulfilled. All right. Pale Dim is, of course, just about to fall over here. And thus we will get the rat tail and be off on a jet plane.
Don't know when we'll come back again.
Well, tonight, at least not tonight. So we have at least a little bit of a break before we'll come back here again. But you know what, Allie? I do hate to go.
But Solaris has that rat tail, knows that there is no other place that pink tail can be hiding, and gonna make a beeline. Did already release his hovercraft, so doesn't have to worry about that.
Rat tail into pink tail into completion. And is that 4 or is that still just 3? Nope, that's all objectives. Crystal and Zeromus, here we go.
And a Dragoon Spear for that cane that we threw away long time ago.
This will be interesting. We only have really 2 melee fighters, plus I think a fully powered up Rydia at this point in time. So might get some reflected nuke strats here. Yep.
I don't think that Rydia is high enough to have nuke. Only level 47. But we do have an Excalibur Cecil and Excalibur Cecil Gobur. And we are going to get a second look at Reset Miss 2, which indicates there must be a Reset Miss 1.
Yeah, I believe chat was talking about it earlier. Reset Miss 1 is from the original American release of the Super Nintendo system, and Reset Miss 2, I think, is the Famicom version.
Or is it like the Jack Shot 2, where there isn't actually a 1, but it brings the crowds out every night to see if you can see that first one?
See, this is what happens when Scala doesn't give us the deep lore behind each one of the more than 450 different Zero Miss sprites that she has curated. We want the backstories on all of them, honestly. But otherwise, we just make it up as we go.
I like my lore.
Yeah. I mean, it could be either one. It could be a weird combination of both bars. Imagine that. Oh, and a reset out.
Yep, looks like did not get that nerf off in time for the Big Bang, which Final Fantasy IV is a game with a lot of weird intricacies, and you can nerf the spell power of the Big Bang. The first one is easy to nerf. You just send out a spell, and Zeromus will counter attack with the nuke and hit somebody, but it reduces that spell power. The rest of them are a little more hard to do.
See, but I think that's one of the intricacies about this game that makes this game and other sort of randomized games of this same class so good is that the glitches are so weird and niche, and you almost never use most of them. And little like weird programming errors like that. Like I've tried to play games that are much better programmed and coded and have a lot more intricacies on the back end, but they don't work as well as something like Final Fantasy IV because of all of the, frankly speaking, jank coding that's throughout this thing.
And take two.
Getting the Zerk off first. Imagine, okay, has a Star Veil going to try some reflected nukes. I got to imagine before long, yep, there's a slow trying to hit this.
And Solaris does get that slow out, so here's the counter nuke, and that first Big Bang will be nerfed.
Ooh, but one shot your white mage. Oof.
That's bad. That's real bad.
And not even nuke on Rydia right now. Oh my. Might be savable if Rydia can stay up and to get a life potion off almost immediately.
Everybody's still up. Hopefully we'll be throwing out a life pot for that Porum.
Man, not having Nuke on Rydia is a rough time on Zero Mess, honestly.
But Porum does get that Cure 4 off. Will heal up pretty much everybody who's going to be important for the rest of this fight.
I'm gonna try direct virus to for this, trying to nerf this Big Bang again.
There is a kind of tell that you can use. Not that I know how to do that, but might have known that that would be what he needed to do to nerf this.
The pattern that I've seen is from the shake, and it's like open menu, close menu, open menu, like 3 times, and that seems to time it perfectly for whatever reason. I don't know the specifics behind it, but that seems to be what I've seen people do.
Did not look like that one was nerfed. That Rydia is down, but at this point I think it's just going to be up to Edge and Cecil.
Doing enough damage that I don't think we're going to have to worry about viruses, but okay, Nuke.
So we are in phase 2 of the fight. That's a good sign. Although rocks. Rocks are good. We like those.
Rocks are very good. Cecil survived. That was good. Zerked up Cecil, though, with rocks falling. This will be over quick.
Yep. And I believe that is GG. And Solaris has finished in 6th with an official race bot time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 45 seconds.
GG's to Solaris. We'll see if he's available for a quick second.
And it looks like we will be joined shortly by Solaris. But I do want to take this time again to just shout out our runners and shout out our behind-the-scenes staff. And yeah, with Solaris and Tybalt, definitely give both of them a follow. And I think I just heard a beding, and we are joined by Solaris.
Hello. Sorry, my headphones, the audio's not, I hope I'm not coming through.
Sounds fine to us on this end.
But how did you feel about that run? It looks like we might be having slight technical difficulties. We'll see if we can't get Solaris back here.
Hello? Okay, I think it's okay now.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I guess our first question was just kind of walk us through your initial feeling about this seed as you're going through it?
I initially felt okay. I was happy to do Twin Harp first. I mean, it was the slower thing to do, but it gave me the magma key and kind of progression forward. But then, I mean, I just chose to fade ordeals and make the keyless tower play, and it just didn't work out for me. And I think it just sort of the seed sort of asserted itself that from that level of energy from that point on.
Yeah, the
At least
unfortunate
for
part.
me.
Yeah, it's not that you ran a bad race. It was just the decisions that you made and the gambles that you stuck to. I felt, it was you did the best with the knowledge you have. Unfortunately, it was just the wrong thing. It felt like every time, unfortunately.
Sometimes as a racer, you not force through, but you take on checks and they don't pan out, and sometimes you fade things and it works, and sometimes you fade things and it doesn't work. This time Ordeals had the pan, which, I mean, and then, yeah, I mean, I've had a string for a few weeks now of 17 out of 17 or getting really close to that of my seeds. So this is really just par for the course for me at this point. I just think that my decisions, I'm sure there are things that I did that were not optimal, but I made intentional decisions and I stand by them.
As you should. I mean, honestly, I thought they were great decisions. Every single one of them. I would do the same thing.
I appreciate that.
Yep. If it had kind of rolled different and there was nothing on that ordeals, that would have been the big brain play.
Yeah, and that check is traditionally a long one, and then it had a back attack alt gauntlet on it. I was just like, nah, I'm good fading this. I'm out. I reset all the way back before my Sheila 1 check, just back to the underground. Was like, all right, I'm just not doing that ever. Womp womp.
Oopsie.
The other thing I think I should have done was used a few more sirens before going to the moon. I kind of thought like there are probably a lot of fights I can take, but if I had been a little bit more leveled, that outline would have been easier. And I had thought about forging before going to the moon just as a dart Excalibur, and I was like, nah. And then I found Cecil, and I was like, well, I think it's faster to forge, crack a siren, and come back and do the fights. That might have been wrong, but I think that's the one decision I'm like, I'm not so sure about.
I mean, it made sense. We knew exactly what you were doing as soon as you were doing it because it made so much sense. So
yeah,
it was just with everything else stacked up. Yeah, you're right. There was a big level difference. On the stream itself, Tibble he ended up having 10 key items, so he just did his grind down there. He stole enough sirens to be able to just grind up. He was almost level 50 before he even set foot on the moon, and just made quick work of literally everything that. I mean, you were struggling on bosses because you didn't quite have the levels, thinking there were a few easy bosses, and no, nothing was free up there.
Nope, not at all. I think it's a showcase of difficult boss battles. I think like from that perspective, I actually like difficult boss battles. So from like that perspective, it was kind of a fun seed.
Yep, and you get to see kind of bosses that you don't really think of as that bad. If you put them in certain spots, they're pretty terrible.
Oh yeah. Some bosses could be just quite the terror. D-Lunars are pretty well known for being trouble in many spots, and that particular spot, it has really low magic attack, so I kind of thought about when I might let them just start bouncing viruses. That's some of these battles were like, well, it's sort of like a testing of like, what are the limits of these fights that I can really do? Because at a certain point, I was like, I know I'm not winning this. I know I'm probably near last place. Not that I want to take forever on this stream, but
No, makes sense. Do you have any other final thoughts on the seed before we try to wrap things up here?
No, I think that's really about it for me. No, I mean the only last thing on my mind is that I was wondering if I was even going to do an interview, and I mean I think the answer is kind of course, but as you're going through a seed like that, it could be kind of demoralizing, and I think it was important to me to be like, no, I'm not going to let this demoralize me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep playing my game. I'm going to keep trying to play optimal, even at, till the very end. And I'm just glad I got through it, basically. But no, I have nothing else besides that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for Solaris, folks, and who's still in chat. That's Solaris. Make sure to give him a follow, and of course, Tybalt, our other runner. One final shout out to Neobari on the restream, Aegis on the tracking, and Allie, my wonderful co-commentator. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
And with that, it looks like we're actually going to wrap things up, and we're going to go raid Xenocat, one of our community members who is doing a practice seed for the Enterprise Legacy group, which is running at some point this week. So we're going to go raid him and give them a surprise. Hope to see you guys at the next race. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Correction, Xenocat is a they, them. I apologize, sorry.
Xenocat also has 200 letters under their, or numbers after their name, so we have to find all those numbers. But have a great night, everyone, and thanks again for coming out.